Hey BookTube, this is Johnny here from West Michigan, sitting here. I'm always sitting. I should get off my big fat ass and go out for a walk, because if I don't watch it, because old age just creeps up to you faster and faster, I'll find out one day I'll get up and I can't walk anymore. I'll be a hobbled old man. Anyway, I'm sitting here again. Here, I'm saying that again. Sitting here, not sure what to do with myself today. It is 11:25 late morning on a Thursday, September the 14th. Tomorrow is September the 15th. We'll be in the middle of the month. And autumn is rushing upon us like a... rushing upon us like... I don't know what the metaphor they use. So yeah, I'm kind of out of it this morning, which is normal for me. My wife left this morning to spend the day with an old girlfriend in Grand Rapids, going to Meyer Gardens. My wife really likes going to Meyer Gardens. It's this big botanical garden. I don't really like going because it's artificial, it's fake, it's to me it's just a big tourist trap. I don't know. To me, what I miss is nature as it was back in the 1800s. True nature, wildness is no longer available. Everything has been built to be consumed. Nature has been altered to be consumed by Disneyland. Everything is Disneyland. Everything is... Even around here, you can't go anywhere where it hasn't been altered by man, nature. Like if I want to go out to Van Rolte, which is a county park, everything, the trails are all been mowed, and it's just, there's wood chips on the trail, everything has been altered. There's no wildness anymore. Many years ago when we first moved here to Holland, I used to go to Van Rolte, and there was nothing out there except little trails to the woods. But now everything is boardwalks and bridges and wood chips, and I don't know. Anyway, so I'm sitting here thinking I would make a video about what I've been reading. I mentioned I had gone to thrift stores. I haven't gone, I don't think this week. I did last week, and I thought I'd just show those books. First of all, I'm almost finished with About Schmidt by Louis Begley. I'm right there. I got about, maybe 30 pages left. And then I'm going to read the second one in the trilogy, Louis Begley, About Schmidt, not About Schmidt Delivered. Got this, my wife got this for me from the library. Probably read this today. I'll start reading it after I finish this, and then maybe I'll get into Schmidt Steps Back by Louis Begley. This is a thicker one. This one's almost 367 pages. This is a big one. So I don't know how far I'll get. I might get burnt out on them, but I got those. And Yesterday evening, I read late into the night Isaiah Berlin, A Life, by Michael Ignatieff. Ignatieff. I can't pronounce his name, but I really have been enjoying this, especially about Russian history in Moscow at the end of the war, Second World War. So I didn't read the Decameron yesterday. I kind of got burnt out on it, but I haven't stopped reading it. But I don't know if I'll get much into it. And still reading the book of Disquiet. I might get burnt out on this. I'm not. How much longer I'll read it. It all depends if I find something else to read. But basically, I read yesterday just these two books, Isaiah Berlin, the biography, and about Schmidt. So yeah. So I went to thrift stores. I found at a thrift store. It's over here. My wife wanted to read it. I found this paperback, short stories by Anthony Doerr, the shell collector. I had read last year his memoir by Anthony Doerr, 4 Seasons in Rome, on twins. They just had twin children. Insomnia and the biggest funeral in the history of the world. Also, I have by Anthony Doerr about Grace, a novel. He won the Pulitzer Prize for this novel. I think it was in 2014. All the Light We Cannot See by Anthony Doerr. So I have these now by Anthony Doerr. My wife wants to read The Shell Collector, the short stories. Oh, I was going to mention something about Louis Begley. His son, Adam Begley, wrote this biography on Updike, and I got it back out the other night, and I've been reading it. I never really finished it. I got up to page 303. I started reading this, I don't know, a while back. I think this came out in 2014. I read it for a while. The point is that when I start reading this, he's always quoting from the writings of Updike, because apparently everything that Updike wrote as far as short stories and novels was taken from some incident in his real life. And so what Adam Begley does is go through his novels and short stories to bring out autobiographical. He tells us the life of Updike through his writings. So what happened is I started reading all these short stories and novels of the early Updike. And so finally I just was reading so much of Updike, his life and his short stories and novels, that I just got kind of burnt out. But I found out that Louis Begley and John Updike were classmates at Harvard. Because as I told you, Louis Begley was a very successful international lawyer, very highly successful, went to Harvard Law School and had a very lucrative law practice, very wealthy. And Louis Begley didn't really start writing his first novel, Wartime. I think it was Wartime Lies. he wrote when he was 56 years old. He didn't start writing novels until his late 50s, and was writing up until his 60s. He didn't retire from his law practice until 2004, Louis Begley, and devote himself to writing full time. He must have been at least in his 60s, 70s when he's really full time writing, Louis Begley. But his son wrote this biography. His son, Adam Begley, was the book editor of the New York Observer from 1996 to 2009. He has been a Guggenheim Fellow, a Fellow at the Leon Levy Center for Biography, at the CUNY Graduate Center. His writings has appeared in the New York Times, the Los Angeles Times, Chicago Tribune, the New York Times Magazine, The Guardian, and the London Review of Books, and other publications. He lives in England. This is really a good biography of John Updike. If you're into Updike, I started reading again because, as you know, John Updike is one of my favorite writers. I've read a lot. I've read so much of John Updike throughout the years. The Rabbit series, and Couples, and just goes on and on. Recently I found used John Updike, the early stories. I got this out because I do want to read some of the short stories that was mentioned in here recently. So going into the used books, as I mentioned, I found that Shell Collectors. I also found a novel this is 3 novellas by Jim Harrison. I found this at a thrift store, and I realized that looking at my library things site, I had this volume. So tomorrow when I go back volunteering at the library used bookstore, the Book Nook, I'll take it back. I'll take it there to donate. And I found this book you see all the time at thrift stores and used book sales. It's called The Prize, The Epic Quest for Oil, Money, and Power by Daniel Yergin. I just bought this. It was only like 60 cents. And I found this book called The Other Russia, The Experience of Exile. And what this is stories of Russians who went into exile into Siberia, or they came to America. It's biographical or memoirs about Russians talking about their exile, by Michael Glenny and Norman Stone. I got into that because I'm reading Isaiah Berlin. What I last read is that he visits Moscow at the end of the Second World War. And also he knew in England when he was at Oxford, Russian exiles, poets and writers and intellectuals. So I wanted to read other biographical material on Russian exiles. So yeah, I got that. And then I found this book by Robert K. Massie, who's written very famous biography of Nicholas and Alexander, Peter the Great. I have all of his nonfiction books. This one's on the Romanovs, The Final Chapter, by him, Peter K. Massie. So that's all I really found. I didn't really find anything really mind-blowing recently at thrift stores. Like I said, I just went around here where we live, a couple of minutes from our house. There is the Action House, Bibles for Mexico, Goodwill, and I really haven't gone to North Holland. I was thinking about going this morning, but I'm kind of burnt out. I just feel like just hanging out here at home. Plus I got tomorrow, when I volunteer at the Book Nook, I might find some books. But I'm kind of like saying, I got enough to read here at home. I got these Louis Begley novels to read. Schmidt Delivered, I plan to start this afternoon. Because I'm sure I'll finish about Schmidt probably after I make this video and I'm downloading it. I'll finish reading that, and then I'll start reading Louis Begley, Schmidt Delivered. And like I've been start reading again, Updike, a biography by Adam Begley. Read these some short stories by Updike this weekend and maybe next week. And maybe I'm getting kind of burnt out in the book of Disquiet, kind of burnt out on the Decameron. I'll put these down on the lower level after I make this video. And like I said, I've been reading The Life of Isaiah Berlin. Writing in my diary on September the 14th, 2017. I'm on page 842. I really haven't been ordering any books online. I'm kind of trying to cool it because I have a ton of shit to read. I have so much I want to read that I've decided I'm going to try to cool it for a while and just read what I have on my to be read pile over there in the living room, which I have shown you, and maybe I'll make another video about what I want to read and what I just don't want to get any more books. Now I have stuff on pre-order, but that's like coming in the late fall, early winter next year, 2018 spring. But I'm kind of like, I've had enough. There's so much I want to read that I have already that I don't want to fill up my plate anymore. So that's what's going on here. I suppose I'm doing okay. My wife leaves next month, October, for 2 weeks because our son Josiah and Hannah will have their baby, Marika Rose. And so I'll be here, and I have plenty to read. I can always write in my diary. I can always talk to you guys in BookTube world. And yeah, my life is just flowing by like a rushing river. So I'm hoping you're having a good week. Thank you for the new subscribers and for the comments. And until next time, bye.